Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Syed. Today I'm going to do a video on incident management. A lot of my friends and colleagues have asked me to do a video on incident management and major incident management. So I decided to do one. So this is for all of you. I hope this is very informative to you and hope you use it to your best and use that while you work. Alright guys, so before I go ahead and start out what is incident management, I need to talk about what is ITIL in first place, right? And incident management comes into one of the life cycles of ITIL. So let's understand what ITIL is in first place, right? What is ITIL? It's Information Technology Infrastructure Library, as the acronym says, right? ITIL. So what does it do? So before you go ahead and learn any of the processes in ITIL, you need to understand what ITIL is. ITIL is a framework that has a set of detailed practices, right, to implement into your business to align it with IT. The focus of ITIL is to align your IT services within your ITSM to meet the business needs. If I put that into one definition, it becomes Information Technology Infrastructure Library is a detailed practice within ITSM, IT Service Management, which focuses upon aligning your IT services with your business needs. Hope you understood what is ITIL is. It's a framework. It's a framework which gives you a detailed practices to implement within your businesses and align your IT, your infrastructure with the business needs. Right? The focus of ITIL is that to align your IT service with your business needs. So now that we have understood what ITIL is, now let's go ahead and understand there are 5 life cycles of ITIL. One is service strategy, service design, service operations, service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, and continual service improvement. So where does incident management come into, right? Service operation is where incident management comes into play, right? So this is one of the life cycle which has different multiple processes within it, which has event management, incident management, problem management, access management, identity management, and one more process maybe that I don't remember on top of my head right now. So now that we know ITIL, what is ITIL? It has 5 life cycles, and incident management is part of one of the life cycles called service operations. And service operation has multiple processes in it, like event, incident, problem, identity, and access management, right? So incident management is part of service operations. So now let's understand what is an objective of an incident management. If you don't understand the goal or the purpose of anything that you do in your life, there's no point of doing that. That's what I believe in. So we need to understand the objective of an incident management, right? It is to minimize incident management goal or objective, or whatever you term it as, right? Incident management's goal or objective is to make sure you minimize any adverse impact effects onto your business due to an unplanned interruptions into your IT service. The definition, if you want me into simple terms to explain it to you, what is incident? It's an unplanned interruption into our IT service that can cause a degradation of your service is called an incident. Just understand this. Let's not go into the book related terms because that's never going to help us unless you're giving exams. If you're giving foundation exam and all of that, maybe there are some questions that talk about what is incident and what is problem. Even that, it's more of scenarios these days, right? So what is an incident? An unplanned, unknown interruption into our IT service that causes a degradation of your IT service is called as an incident, right? So we are clear about that. What is an incident? An unplanned interruption into an IT service is called as an incident management. It's called an incident, I'm sorry, right? Now let's understand the definition of a problem, because if we have to understand incident, we need to understand problem as well a little bit. We need to understand change as well, because IPC are interlocked within ITIL. I will tell you why and how they are interlocked when we do incident management process and major incident management process. Real quick, let's understand. We have understood what is incident management. Now what is problem management? What is problem definition? Right? What is an incident? Let's go back to incident so that the problem becomes easier to us. An unknown interruption into an IT service that is causing the degradation of your quality of service is called as an incident. right? Now, what is problem? An underlying cause of that incident is called as a problem. So an incident is always triggered due to a problem. Remember the question, if it comes up, how does an incident come into existence? A problem triggers an incident. There are two types of problems. One is a proactive problem and reactive problem. Let's not get deep into that because today I'm going to make a video on incident management. So these definitions are important, right? An underlying cause of an incident is called a problem, right? A repetitive reoccurring incident is also called a problem. So if you have the same incident that's being repeated multiple times, which means you need to take some actions on it, right? Which means you need to do problem management to understand the underlying cause of that incident. It's called a problem. So now what is change? What is the definition of a change? Any addition, modification, or deletion of an existing CI, a configuration item within your IT, right, is called a change. Any addition, modification, or deletion of an existing CI is called a change. Now, why this comes into play, you will understand when I do this major incident management process and how it is important, the important the interlocks of IPC. You will understand when I do the process. Okay, so without wasting any time, now we have understood what is ITIL, we understood what is incident, what is problem, what is change. We know incident comes into the life cycle of service operations. So now that we are good with the background of ITIL and the other terminologies, let's understand incident management process. I hope you all are taking this video hope you're liking this video, because I don't want to make it so monotonous that you don't really understand what I'm saying. As long as you understand these basic terms, it's really helpful for you to remember this term so that you can implement it. Because now I'm going to talk about incident management process. Incident management process has its own way of dealing things. Like I told you, the objective or the goal of incident management is important. That is to minimize any adverse impact to the business due to any degradation of service that's being caused unknowingly, right? An unplanned interruption into an IT service is called as an incident management. That's the objective. The objective of is to minimize that impact. If there is any unknown interruption into your business, interruption or degradation of your service, unplanned interruptions, that's what we need to minimize. That's our objective. So let me go ahead and explain what is incident management. What is incident and what is incident management? I have already explained what is an incident and how do we know what is incident management. How does an incident get triggered and how does it come to you if you're an incident manager? For now, I'm going to act as an incident manager. Next part of my role will be acting as a major incident manager, right? So how does it come to you? Incident can be reported in different ways. One, users can call service desk and they can inform. The other one is through event management. There are some automation tools where the event is triggered. Three types of events we have: informative, warning, and exceptions. Exceptions are always turned into an incident. A ticket is cut through if it's an exception alert or an exception event that comes into play. Warning is to warn you, and information is just to let you know what is happening, just like application has been installed as an informative alert, right? I don't want to get into examples of event management, but right now, the way how does an incident manager get to know there's an incident? A user reports an issue to a service desk. I will take you through that process now. How does it come to you? Once you get that ticket, right, as an incident manager, what do you need to do, right? So one is through service desk you get notified, the other one is through the machines or the tools, I would call it, as in through event management. So let's understand the concept of incident management. I hope you can see my screen. One second, guys, I'm just trying to make things better for you. Hope you see it. Okay, whenever the user calls for an incident saying that I have so and so issue, right, what a service desk agent has to do, this is the workflow or the flow for an incident management. Understand this. Major incident management is going to be much easier if you understand this part. Okay, now first is the user calls the service desk, and service desk agent receives the call and he understands or identifies if it's an incident or if it's a service request, right? Let's call this as a service request. If it is a service request, if the answer is yes, then we will ask request fulfillment team, or we will invoke request fulfillment process. If the answer is no, what happens? A service desk agent is going to log a ticket first. So let's call this as logging. Then what he does is he is going to categorize that. Right? Then he's going to prioritize it. Okay, now let's understand what is logging. Logging is basically he's going to take the issue description, understand what is the problem, what is the user reporting, and what is the degradation of service that's happening, right? Now, once he logs the ticket, then he's going to categorize. Categorization is very important. A lot of people, they say category is to, to if it's a hardware or a software. Yes, it's right. It's true. If what kind of a CI that is impacted, he categorizes the service desk, she categorizes that. But also remember, categorization is important in prioritizing the ticket. It is very important in prioritizing the ticket because it talks about urgency during the categorization. Now, let me explain a little bit quickly to you what is categorization over here, and also how a service desk agent is going to understand if it's a service request or if it's an incident, right? So a lot of users, they call in, I've asked a lot of people, how do you categorize an incident into categorize service request and an incident? They say, hey, internet is not working, so it becomes your incident, and my password reset, it's a service request. That is absolutely not correct. Understand the rules of it. Only then you will categorize it and you will be able to understand if it's an incident. The same example, let me take the same example. My internet is not working. Is that an incident? Can it be an incident? Can it be a service request? According to me, yes, it can be both, right? And who decides that? Service desk agent will always look back into something called service catalog. Remember this word, or user level catalog. User level catalog. This defines everything about who should have access to internet, what set of service requests are considered, and what set of incidents, what are the issues that are considered as service requests, and what are the issues that are considered as an incident. For example, the user who calls, my internet is not working. He could be a very new user who doesn't even have access to it, to an internet. Maybe he's trying to use Google or he's trying to Facebook, but his intranet is working, but internet is not working. So do you consider that as an incident? No, that is a service request because he has to raise a request to get internet access to him, right? And who confirms that? And how does a service desk agent understands that, okay, this so and so person, he looks into directory, he looks into user ID, and he looks for a group, and that group is defined in user catalog, that if he's part of that group, he will have an internet access, right? And that's when he's going to ask the user, hey, go ahead and raise an access. I don't have it at this. You don't have it. You go ahead and raise an access, then you might have internet access to your system. That's how it is a service request. Internet is not working is not an incident always. You need to refer to user level catalog, or a service catalog. You need to refer to these two things. Mostly it's called as a user level catalog into service desk agents, or probably they will have the set of definitions of the documentation that's given to them, but the terminology is user level catalog. So once you understand it's a request fulfillment, it's a request, then you will invoke request fulfillment process. If it is no, then he's going to log a ticket. For the same example, internet is not working, he is going to he's going to look into service level catalog, and he says, okay, this user so and so has access to the group. He had access until yesterday, now it's not working. It's definitely a degradation of service, right? The quality of service that is being degraded. So he's going to log that ticket with the details, then he's going to categorize it, and at the same time he's going to categorize it looking at this user level catalog. If it's a major incident, for example, I'm talking about a little bit on major incident. If the server that is broken down, if the server that is down, he looks into this user level catalog or billing inventory or an inventory that he has, or CMDB, SKMS or CMDB, wherever he's looking into, right? Configuration management database. and he identifies that particular server, so-and-so server, XYZ server, is a gold server where availability is 99.99%, and that is down, basically it's an urgency, right? So that's how you categorize. This is very important. People tend to miss. After logging, they'll directly say prioritization, which is impact into urgency. No, urgency plays a role in categorization, right? Now next we have is priority. Priority is again based on impact into urgency, right? Now urgency is already defined, at least to an extent, where it is defined in categorization. Now priority is impact into urgency. What is an impact? Impact can be the business impact, the user impact, a financial impact, right? What is an urgency? How quickly you can restore the service. Like I said, if the server that is a gold server and the availability has to be 99.99%, and which means the server cannot be down, it has to be urgently fixed. That's what impact into urgency is. Once you define a priority, right, the priorities can be P1, P2, P3s and P4s. What is P1? Is a critical, P2 is high, P3 is medium, P4 is low, and P5 is mostly a planning, right? It's in a planning phase. So something is down because the application is still in the build stage, it's not into production yet, but there are some alerts while they are bringing the application into production. That's what happens. So that's a P5. So what's P1? It's critical. Depends. It varies from account to account and companies to companies. So it's defined in your SLA agreement into your SLM, and SLM is deciding about when he's doing the transition, or he or she is doing the transition, they will define all the scope, right? So P1 is critical, P2 is high, P3 is low, P4, sorry, P0, sorry, P1 is critical, P2 is high, P3 is medium, P4 is low, and P5 is planning. So once you define priority, or prioritization is complete, right? So then, say example, something, it comes up and it's become an MI. I'll call that as a major incident, which basically means P1 or a P2. Once if it's an MI, you need to understand if it is MI, yes or no, right? It's not an MI yet, so it could be an MI, major incident. If it is yes, I'll give this to major incident management team, MIM team, right? If it is no, then I will, as a service desk agent, I'm going to do initial diagnosis, then I'm going to troubleshoot with functional escalation and hierarchical escalation. Okay, so this is where you need to understand functional and hierarchical escalation comes while you're troubleshooting, or if you need anything that is needed and that's not happening right, you will use this. If it is not an MI, if it's an MI, you will give it to major incident management team. Now this is a different process which I'm going to come and talk to you about. I'm going to give you a diagram for major incident management. I'm sure you will remember it forever. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's something that I came up with. I will explain it to you. Let's talk about if it's a major incident management a little bit, right? So I'm going to say if it's major incident management, remember the three things on top of your head, right? The first thing should be disaster recovery. Second thing should be stakeholders that has to be notified. I'll call it a stakeholder to notify. And third one was RCA, if it's a major incident management, or if it's a MI. Make sure there is a problem ticket to it, for regardless of if P1 or a P2, PR has to be there, problem ticket has to be there, right? If it is yes, then major incident management process will get invoked, and you need to remember what is DR. DR is a disaster recovery. Critical, P1 is critical, remember? If the data center is down, then you need to start disaster recovery. You need to invoke disaster recovery, which means you need to get other data center up, and because this data center has some facility issues or some natural disaster and stuff like that. Stakeholders to be notified, yes, very important. Any customers or any management would like to know what's going on with their environment. They have to know. So for that, you need to have your audience right. You need to know who to inform and who not to. And the third is RCA, like I told you already. For any P1s and P2s, make sure you have an RCA. Even for the P3s, if you can, problem tickets are very important. Like I explained, underlying cause of an incident is called a problem. If the incident is being repeated like about multiple times, then you need to know where is the problem coming from. If it's not an MI, if it's normal incident, initial diagnosis is taking place, then troubleshooting with hierarchy and functional escalations. Once that is complete, then you will have to restore it. Once you troubleshoot and you diagnose and you fix the issue, then you restore it, then you resolve it, then you close it. It's a closure. Right? Now, what's the difference between restore and resolve? A lot of people say resolve and restore is the same. Like once you, the goal of incident management is to restore the service ASAP. Once you restore it, you're done. So what is the difference between restore and resolve? And I have asked my colleagues now, they have come up with answers which are partially right. They say, hey, restore is when you resolve the ticket, and once the issue is up, once the services are up and back to normal. And resolve is when you close it on the ticket end. You have a ticketing tool and you put it as a resolve state. Initially, when you validate from the user, he says, then you call that as a restoration, which means you can stop your watch if it's ticking, which means, yeah, it's partially right, guys, but you need to understand the difference between restore and resolve. Restore is to restore the service that had that degradation of the service. Like you fixed the issue, you restored it. Resolve is restore plus USAT, or user satisfaction or customer satisfaction, which means restore, you have the application is down, you brought up the application, perfect, application time uptime for example is 8 Eastern, right? So what is the all clear time or the closure time that you take? It's only when you resolve it. That is why user validation. So restore plus USAT or CSAT is called as resolve. It's nothing to do with the tickets, it's nothing to do with the logging and all of that. Restore and resolve are not same. Always need to go back to the user for validation. Only if the user is fine, then the all clear time or the closure time that you can decide is when the application came back up or when the user validated. Depends upon the account to account. If they say no, it's when user confirmed it, then that's the closure time. Then sometimes they say no, it's when the services were restored. Let's take that as an all clear time. Perfect, right? So let's understand that a little bit. So I'm quickly rehashing everything. First, the service desk agent is going to identify, then he's identified what, if it's a service request or an incident. If it's a service request, yes, by looking at the user level catalog, he's going to go through he's going to invoke request fulfillment process. If it is no, then he's going to log the ticket with the details, and he's going to categorize. Remember, urgency is based on the categorization to an extent, very important. That categorization is also looking at the user level catalog, right? Urgency is categorized here, and also software and hardware and what kind of a CI and all of that is categorized here. Now there is an impact. Impact is always into urgency. Priority is always calculated into impact and urgency. Impact can be business impact, user impact, or financial impact. And urgency, like I said, based on the categorization. If it's any looking at the user level catalog or inventories, you understand what CI is impacted. Once you identify the priority, you have P1s to P5s. P1 is critical, P2 is high, P3 is medium, P4 is low, and P5 is planning. So once you have that, once you prioritize if it's MI or not, if it's an MI, then you need to give it to major incident management team. And major incident management team will remember 3 things. Major incident manager, I'll check for a disaster recovery. I'll check for stakeholders who to be notified on a problem ticket. If it's not an MI, then a service desk agent is going to give it to incident management team, or by himself is going to resolve. If it's just one user impacted, he's going to initially investigate and troubleshoot, and if required, use functional and hierarchical escalations. Very important in major incident management. What is functional and hierarchical escalation? Once that is done, once the issue is fixed, restore it and resolve it. Restore is when the applications when the services, the CIs that are broken, that are up, the impacted CI is up and functional. Resolve is when you check with the user and you resolve it with the closure time, right? So what is resolve? Resolve is equal to restore plus USAT or CSAT. Right, guys? So you understand what is, now this is the workflow of incident management. Do not go with the book related definitions. You will never understand this. Understand this workflow anywhere that you go. This should help you. This should help you. Probably you want to take it down because I don't know how I can put that into the comment section, but yes, I have this diagram. While you're going through this video, you can go through this, right? So fantastic, guys. So this is incident management. Now, what we discussed, what is an ITIL? What is ITIL? Sorry, what is ITIL? We discussed the 5 life cycles. Not really, but the names of 5 life cycles. Where does incident management comes into? Which life cycle it comes into? Then what is the definition? What is the objective of an incident management? The purpose or the goal. We understood the definition of incident, problem, and change, and incident management workflow. Right, so far we have done this, right? Now let's go ahead and do it for, now very important thing, and now this is for incident managers basically, or the service desk guy, and incident manager who understands this. For him, he needs to understand if it's not an MI, if it could be mostly a P3 or a P4, he needs to resolve this ticket. You know, there is an impact, but it's medium. P4 is very low. You still have to resolve it by troubleshooting and required, you know, even here you'll have functional hierarchical escalations that you need to take in place. If there are some potential P3s and P2s, remember guys, whenever you hear this word potential P3s and P4s, which means for P4s usually you wouldn't have it, but potential P3 or a P2, if you hear it, they're likely to become P1s. You know, they're likely to get into critical situations, crit sits, right? So make sure you start using functional hierarchical escalations. Remember, escalation matrix is the backbone of an incident management. If you don't use that, then you're not capable of doing incident management. Take that straight from me, right? If you do not escalate it when it is really needed, somebody is going to escalate it on you, the way you work, the way your ability of working, and you know they can question the ability of your work. They can question your ability of being an incident manager or major incident manager, right? So guys, so it's pretty much clear so far. Now I'm quickly going to move on to major incident management. This is very interesting, right? So I'm going to clear this off so that you have understood, right? So cool, I'm going to clear it, and hope you understood so far what is incident is and what is the definitions and all of that, right? Guys, before I go into major incident management, I've been doing this role for quite some time. It's been about 5 years, so I've seen different accounts, how it works, and different infrastructures. I also need to make you understand what sort of questions that you need to ask on a major. You don't really, when you're on a major incident, right? You cannot be an expert in all the platforms. When I say all the platforms, like Windows, Unix, Linux, mainframes, WebSphere, web servers, network, databases, you cannot be an expert. So major incident manager is a bridge between the management, account management, or your vendor management, or whoever you're working for. You're a bridge between them and the platform teams, between the management and the technical teams, which basically means you need to have good communication. You need to have that ability of articulating things on the call, which I will come to it a little later, but let's understand the process first. A lot of questions, and the question on the ability of a major incident manager comes when he is not talking on a bridge call, right? So just knowing the process won't help you, but how to utilize that and how to implement that process is very important. You really need to take care of things. You really need to take care of, sorry guys, you really need to take care of things, take things seriously when you're on an MI. The articulation part, your communication, the way you write things, the way you explain things, the way you understand things, very important, right? Now, like I said, a major incident manager is a bridge between the management, the organization, who does not know anything about technical part, and the other set of people who are very technical, right? So you are a bridge. You need to understand them, put that into a plain English description to explain it to the management team, right? You need to articulate things, and you need to write it down in a plain English description. I'll come to that communication part also, right? So it's going to be a little longer video, guys, but then yes, very informative. I'm sure you will all learn something out of it. I hope you learn something out of it. So now we understood what is incident management. Let's move on to major incident management. Okay, this is very interesting, and trust me, you will like it. This is something that I came up with, and when I was training my colleagues, when I was training the new folks who joined as major incident managers or incident managers from service desk, I've been training quite a few people. So I learned from them that giving them book related terms, giving them the process as a workflow will not help you understand things, right? So I came up with a diagram for a major incident manager. Excuse me, major incident management. So that diagram is basically looks like a butterfly, and I would term that as a butterfly effect, basically, which means any small changes in the environment can cause a huge impact. That's what butterfly effect is. Any small changes somewhere can cause a major impact or major change somewhere else. And let's come back to this point a little later. Why it is called a butterfly effect, I am not sure, but this is my theory. It is not something proven. So butterfly diagram or butterfly picture will help you understand. So let me act as a major incident manager. Right now, I'm a major incident manager. It has been invoked. MI has been invoked, like we saw there. It was an MI, and after prioritization, it was qualified to be an MI, and it's given to major incident management. Like I said, escalation matrix is very important. Now you will see why it is important. As a major incident manager or a business recovery manager or crit manager, different terminologies, right, from company to company. Major incident manager will, I'm onto the call. Incident manager or coordinator has been running the call all this while, and he says, hey, it's an MI, I want you to jump onto the call, right? As soon as you jump onto a bridge or a SWAT call and whatsoever, a technical bridge and whatsoever it is called, right? Remember this diagram. I'm going to draw this for now. Understand this? I'm going to understand an issue first. A butterfly tentacle. A butterfly has its tentacle. It's going to understand the issue first. Right? Let me change color so that you understand very clearly. So I'm going to understand issue. Because as a major incident manager, I cannot drive a bridge or, restore the services ASAP. The goal or the objective that we have is to restore the services ASAP without having any adverse impact onto the business, without understanding an issue. I'll take that one as my tentacle. Now I take one strong line or a straight line as my impact. The reason why I have this impact, a longer line, is because it can be a high impact, critical impact, high impact, low, medium impact, and a low impact, right? So it's high, medium, critical, high, medium, low impact. So that's my second line. That's my second tentacle of my butterfly. The third is the teams that are needed, teams required. Right? As soon as I understand what is an issue and I understand what is an impact, and it has already been an MI, so I still understand an impact, because there are times that incident managers would not qualify that as, would not understand how to qualify that as a P1, and they just randomly make that as a P1 if it's not even there, right? So there are different examples which I don't want to get into it, but sometimes you're into a situation you need to assess the impact again, because that will show you the sense of urgency to resolve the services, to restore the services, sorry, the word resolve is wrong, to restore the services, right? Issue, you understood impact, now you understood the teams that are required, whosoever, even if it's 2 teams that are required, 3 teams initially, right? So you need Windows team, you got them onto the call, and you're still engaging the rest of the people. What do you need to do? Remember this, remember this, right? Like I said, escalation matrix is the backbone of incident management or incident life cycle. So I'm going to take the butterfly's backbone as my escalation. Right? This is escalation, right? Now, escalation are 2 types. One I'm going to call it as functional escalation, and the other one I have is a hierarchical escalation. I'll call this as an FE, and this I'll call it as hierarchical escalation, right? Let's keep this in mind, because we need this escalation matrix throughout the incident life cycle, right? Now, once you have identified issue, then you understood the impact, then you have the technical teams engaged, you will start asking. This should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes is also too long. Remember, your SLA P1s can vary from organization to organization, account to account. Let's take it as 90 minutes as your P1. P1 SLA for now. So it should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes is also too long. Understanding the issue and impact is very important. Once you have the teams engaged, be it one single team on the call and you're still engaging the rest of them, ask that particular team to do this. What is this called? I'm going to take this point as let me change color so it's easier for you. Right? I'm going to take this point as initial investigation. What is initial investigation? If it's a Windows team on the call, ask them to do health checks. right? How is the server looking? What is the memory of the server? What is the CPU utilization? What is memory utilization? When was the server last rebooted? How long the server has been up? Were there any changes? Were there were any changes over the weekend or just yesterday or today? Whatsoever, initial investigation, start them with that, right? Now, let me draw a butterfly here already. Okay, now what is the next part of it is doing is you have initial investigation that is done, right? Now I'm gonna once you initially investigate, then you will ask them to troubleshoot. Once they initially investigated, they isolated some they some of the factors that are not impacting. For example, change is not there has been no change on the server itself, and so on and so forth. Now they start looking into the logs of the servers, so they start troubleshooting it. Once they start troubleshooting and investigating it, they find something, right? They say, hey, this is the problem that we have determined, and I'm going to call that as planning now, right? Once they identify what is the problem, once they identify where is the problem coming from, and they start planning how to resolve it, right? How do you plan to resolve it, right? Now, so and so steps have been performed. Now, how do we need to resolve it? Is they're going to come up with an action plan. Very important, right? Call them as, when you're doing the planning stage, always ask for plan A and plan B. Do not get excited when they say, okay, this is the set of actions that we need to do, and we're going to resolve it doing so and so. Do not get excited with that. Always have a backup plan. Just like during the change, when we'll come to that change environment in the next set of video. Whenever the change is being performed, the criteria for the change is they should always have a backup plan when the change is being performed. Similarly, in incident, there should not be a backup plan, but there should be a plan A and plan B, right? If the plan A is not working fine, then you should always go for plan B. You should always have a backup plan. You cannot wait for plan A to get completed, then implement plan B and think of plan B. No. While you're planning stage, you always have to ask for plan A and plan B. These are your tentacles of the butterfly. You need to have plan A, PA and PB, right? Now, once you have plan A and plan B, then you probably, once you determine, you will execute the plan, right? You execute the plan. I'm going to take this point again, the center point from here. I'm going to call that as execute. You're going to execute your plan A and plan B now, right? If plan A is successful or plan B is successful, you're going to, whatever the plan you decide, the support teams decide, and the rest of the support groups on the call has decided, so you execute the plan. Once the plan is completed, then you validate it, right? And before you execute it, guys, as a major incident manager, I also want to summarize the plan to the team so that we are sure of what we are doing on the call, because I wouldn't want to keep quiet over there without talking and saying technical teams are doing their job so they know what they need to do. No, although I do not know what they are doing very much indeed technically, but I would have a plan of action jotted down. Like here in the planning stage, I'm going to write down, and I'm going to talk about plan A and plan B. Here I'm going to summarize that plan. Right? I'm going to summarize, execute and validate. Then finally, once we are done, we are back to the closure, right? This is called a closure node. We are going back and ending up with a circle, and I'm going to call this as a closure. Remember this two eyes and this escalation matrix. This is your closure. This is your functional escalation and hierarchical escalation. Why did I write FE here and HE here? Hierarchical escalation, functional escalation. Whenever you're initially investigating, guys, I don't know how you must have set up your infrastructure and your technical platforms, and because most of the 80% of the cases I see that technical support groups do not respond to you on the call. You say XYZ, are you there? It's so embarrassing. You're dumbstruck, you don't know what to do, and the customer on the other side is like, you're not fit to handle a call. You're not fit because they're not even responding it to you. That's where, when you're doing initial investigation for a P0 or P1 or a P2, whatever it is, start escalating, get your SMEs. Remember this key thing, escalation is everything. Do not wait for an admin to create a nuisance on the call, then you go ahead and escalate it. No, start escalating right from the top. The moment you have the teams required, whoever joins, ask him to get their SMEs from their team. Subject matter experts, if it's L1 and L2, L1 to L2 is called a functional escalation. That's why I have written on the other side as functional escalation. Immediately it has to happen. And at the other side, written hierarchical escalation is to let managers know to help the functional escalations get completed. It's not just functional escalation is a separate thing. If you're not getting level 2 support, you need to call the managers. The hierarchical escalation is also vendors. So get them, everybody on the call right in first 15 to 20 minutes. I know it's difficult, but you need to push for it. You need to ask. If you want to meet your SLAs, if you want to make sure that you have fixed the issue within your SLAs that's assigned to your account, make sure you follow this escalation matrix, functional escalation, hierarchical escalation. So this is called a butterfly. Right now, what is a butterfly effect? I told you a small change somewhere can cause a major impact somewhere else, right? Now, 80%, or the stat says today, it's 75 to 80% of incidents are triggered due to change. Remember, do not get confused. A problem always triggers an incident, which means there's an underlying cause somewhere that causes triggering an incident, right? There is a cause, but who triggers a problem? There must be some change that's happening somewhere. The servers are being patched, application is being the version is being deployed, new version is being deployed, network switch changes are happening, core switch changes are happening, routers are being changed, somewhere some change, and it's going to have a major impact onto your server. Say for example, in some location they're changing a switch, and it's going to give an impact to the entire globe who are working on that application, because that's application connectivity is to that switch, right? So that's why I call this as a butterfly effect. Hope this diagram you remember it. I'll just rehash it quickly. The three tentacles on the top is, as a major incident manager, I would understand what is an issue, then I understand the longer line, the bigger line here is an impact. If it's critical, low, high, medium, whatsoever, then I get the teams required. The moment I get the teams required, I'm going to use a functional escalation to get their SMEs and start initial investigation. The center point here of this butterflies, take it as initial investigation and troubleshooting, and from there this other line is called troubleshooting and investigation. Remember guys, at the same time, initial investigation should be done parallelly. Parallel efforts has to be taken. It cannot be done like just one team. Parallel investigation. If database is there, ask them to do the health checks. If Windows is there, ask them to do their health check. Network is there, ask them to perform the trace routes, and so on and so forth. If database team is on your call, ask them to check the databases and the servers of the databases and their tables into the databases. See what parallel efforts you can take. You do not do one team at a time. It's difficult. You don't have to do that. You have to have parallel efforts. Like I said, escalation is important. Get SMEs on the call for a P1 and P2s. Then you troubleshoot and investigate with the SMEs, with the help of SMEs, because you have the right set of people now. Remember, having right set of people is the key to your incident management. If you want to fix the issue within your SLAs, right set of, do not wait. Like I said, don't wait until the nuisance has occurred on the call where the admins is creating, not responding, not doing what they need to do, because they do not have the knowledge. Not that they're doing it on purpose, not that they're doing it deliberately. They're doing it because they do not have much skills within them. So you need to get someone who's skillful, right? There can always be two things. Remember, on your call, there can be one could be skill issue, can be a will issue. Maybe one person who's really skillful is not willing to help you. All that, the spinal cord of this butterfly is escalation. You need to have right set of people. Troubleshoot, plan. Then when you're planning stage, remember, you need to have plan A and plan B. You need to write it down. Once you write it down in your planning stage, plan A and plan B, which one is being executed first, you need to summarize all that over here. You need to summarize which one is being executed, why the plan A is being executed, and is this plan A valid? Another good point you need to remember, there's a plan A that is valid or not. Right? That reminds me of another point. When you understand an issue, impact and all of that, and teams required, always look for, see, that's more of communication part and how you settle and how you establish yourself on the call. You need to look for workarounds. You need to look for the changes in the environment. You need to look for last known good configurations of those CIs, right? So whenever there's an issue, ask for workarounds. Just not workarounds, like I said, plan of action A should be valid. Just like that, there should be a valid workaround. Somebody says do this, it will fix. Ask them if it's valid. Have you done that before? Do not waste your time just implementing something it's not going to fix it, right? So remember, time is everything. You have the clock's ticking. 90 minutes is where you have 5 to 10 minutes. You need to do this. Initial investigation should not take more than 10 minutes. And troubleshooting is where you cannot define how much time it's going to take, right? So this is where you need to push subject matter experts to work on. Then plan it. BRM or a major incident manager is going to learn that planning part of it. You will jot it down while you're on the call. If you don't waste your time sitting and writing down things, focus on your call. Remember the points that they are talking. Ask technical support groups to put that onto your chat or onto an email. What is the plan of action? If subject matter expert has decided on plan, I'm sure you will have an admin who can write down the plans and he will understand. He can send it to you on the chat or whatsoever. Take that, keep it. Plan A and plan B. You always, like I said, plan A and plan B is must. Without that, you cannot proceed further. Then summarize which plan you're going to implement first. If this fails, this is, and also give timelines, guys. If you don't give timelines for each of these things to happen, there's no way that you can meet your SLAs. And remember, major incident management works two ways. You cannot be rude to them, you cannot be demanding to them. At the same time, you cannot be very soft and very nice, very nice to them, that you accept what they say. Neither can you be so rude to like asking them to do, you have to do this. Don't use such terms. Whenever you give them the timelines, when you ask them, hey, how much time do you think it is going to take, ask them, let them decide it, and give them two options. The best way that I usually do it on my calls is, hey, do you need 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Intel team, do you need 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Now they will come back with the answer that they would commit and say, hey, I need 10 minutes. So that's a commitment from them. So you're being courteous, at the same time you're getting. But if you say, I give you 10 minutes, go ahead and do this, then you're wasting another minute of discussing and debating on that. 10 minutes is not enough. It's a physical server, it takes time, and I need to do so and so. Ask them. If they give you a commitment of 5 to 10 minutes, give them that time, right? Tell them, I would not come back to you unless you have something to me, but I'll come back to you at the 9th or the 10th minute to understand what's happening, right? And at the same time, like I said, if you ask them how much time do you need, don't be so soft, and don't be stupid. I would say that they would say I need 25 minutes and just accept it. Usually on P1s it never happens. If you have subject matter experts, if they say it's 25 minutes, right, you need to help them understand the sense of urgency of this issue. You need to articulate the impact. You need to explain it to them why it is important to fix that issue as soon as possible, and not give them 25 minutes. Most of the times you would not have that cases, but yes, admins would not understand. There are some admins you will not even understand your communication. That's why clear communication on the call with the right set of words, appropriate words on the call is very important. Don't be too rough, don't be too soft, don't be too demanding. Let it come from them. And like I said, let them understand the sense of urgency. So that's why you need to keep summarizing things. You need to and assess impact each time. Say at an interval of while you're troubleshooting and they're taking some time to troubleshoot, assess an impact again. What if the issue has resolved on its own? See, this is all about major incident management skills while you're on the call, right? While you're so many times I have seen on my calls, the issue is resolved without any technical intervention, and we're still troubleshooting and we don't even ask. And the user is also like, not even interested at that time, because he thinks, okay, somebody is troubleshooting, I don't need to be on my desk at this time, so I'm going to just say, you know what, I'm going to take a coffee break and come back. No, you cannot. That's why you should have escalations. What if the issue is resolved? So you need to assess an impact. You need to ask user, do you still face that issue? Are you still facing that latency? Are you still facing that errors on your screen? So and so on and so forth. So that is important, right? So guys, I don't understand why major incident managers on the call say that or the complaints that they get, that they do not talk on the call. Now that you have understood major incident management process, now let's talk about some key tips and tricks. One of the key tip I told you was, give them two options, 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Ask them 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Let it come from them, right? The other thing is how people say that major incident manager was not even talking on the call. The answer to that I get from a major incident manager is, he says, hey, you know what, the issue has already been running and I didn't understand what's going on. The issue has already been running and I didn't want to interrupt it. Then what's the point of having a major incident manager over there? So to answer to that question is, what can I do? You need to go and establish yourself the moment you join on the call, and you need to say, hey guys, my name is Syed. I'm the major incident manager on the call. I will be driving this call to recovery. Can I know what's happening? And if somebody stops you at this time, tell them, I will not be able to help you at this time if you do not let me know what's going on. I just joined. People will understand that, and the tone has to be important. The tone is very important while you're talking, right? So if they don't know you're a major incident manager, why would they even respond to you? You need to explain it to them. What is your role over there? Your role is to help them to restore the services, gather information, and not get distorted, not get away from the focus of the resolution, because there are multiple teams talking. Tell them, I can help you, go ahead and do that. Tell me what's happening and who's doing what. Just quick, the snap of fingers, like, with the snap of fingers, you kind of, I'm just giving you an example. You got to take things, you got to understand things quickly, and you at least now know the issue. And the other way, the key technique that I follow is, right, so this is my tip to you all. Whenever you join a call, and when you establish yourself saying, hey, I'm the recovery manager, do not directly ask them for an issue, right? They will be like, who is this again now, right? Ask them, hey guys, this is Syed, I'm the recovery manager on the call. Do you have all the teams that you need on this call? Do you have all the right set of teams on the call? They say, yes, we have all of them. Like, okay, can you now go ahead and quickly, can somebody explain this issue to me? Because if you don't have any more, if you don't have right teams, I can help you get somebody. Basically, you're intruding them. At the same time, you're trying to make a way out of it, saying that I'm here to help, not to interrupt and distract you guys, right? So who do you need? If you have everything, okay guys, just let me know who do you need more, in case if you need. I'm right here, I'm the recovery manager. While you're talking, can somebody just give me a heads up of what's happening? Can somebody bring me up the speed of what's going on over here, right? So that's how you establish yourself. And in the first 10 minutes, if you don't establish yourself, there's no way that you're going to establish yourself throughout the call. Because even if you try and ask questions, guys, what's happening? Because I've seen this in my colleagues, I've seen this in my friend, from the other account teams that I have been handling. They say, guys, what's the plan? Somebody's just gonna come up and say, hey, can you just keep your mouth shut for a few minutes? And who are you? They literally know. There are times that they've literally said that, can you keep your mouth shut? There are times that they say, who are you? It's a waste of time. You're debating on something that's not important. Understand? So you need to know how to establish yourself. Like I said, I would establish myself. Hey guys, this is Syed from the recovery management team. I'm here to help you guys. Do you have everyone that you need? The right set of people on the call? They say yes. Okay, fantastic. Let me know if you need some more help. I'm here to get you. Can somebody just bring me up the speed of what's happening? I'm going to talk like this. I'm going to make a way out of this, way out like this, so that I can also tell them I'm from your troop, or I'm from your from the people who's trying to help you, right? And once you establish yourself, do not keep questioning them again and again and again. Let them work. Now that you know what is the issue, now focus on the call and say which team is talking and who is talking. If you know who is talking, then you need to jot down, you need to make your timeline, you need to keep running your fingers on your laptop or your desktop or where, right? So to write it down, or maybe a piece of paper, that who is from which team. Another key technique from my video, you should take it, is do not represent them or do not call them by the platform team. For example, Windows team, what are you doing? Unix team, no. It's much easier to call them by their name, and that contact, that connect will be there for them to respond. For example, hey Bill, can you just explain what's happening from the network end? Hey network team, what's happening? They're not going to respond to you. The moment you say, Bill, what's happening from on the network end? Did you just do the trace routes? Did you run traces and did you find anything else? He's going to talk to you. Definitely he's going to talk to you. At least he's going to make an attempt. Or if he's not there, you can ask, Bill, are you there? You're talking to him with his name. You need to know who is talking from who. And if you join from the middle of the call, like I gave you one instance that, major incident managers tell me, hey, who's joining? I do not know, the call is already running. I just joined in between of the call, so I do not know what's happening. You need to ask the incident coordinators or the service desk guys to know that information. If that's not happening in your account, make sure it's a process gap. You need to fill it up. You need to ask whosoever is handing over to you should tell you who's on the call and from which team. Without that, it's not going to help you, because you're going to ask each one of them's name on the call. It's stupid. You cannot do that. You're from which team, you're from which team. No. So when they give you, for example, like I said, I'm going to establish myself. Do you need everything? And do you need any more help? You have the right set of people. They say, yes, we have. Like, fantastic. Let me know if you need more help from any of the teams. I can get you help. Can somebody explain what's going on here? And somebody talks, right, and explains it. Hey, like, just say, acknowledge and say, be courteous and say, thank you. Thank you, understood that. And you're from which team? I'm going to ask now. Now is when it makes sense to ask them, not directly, hey, you're from which team, what can you explain? No, you can't be so rude, right? So guys, coming back to major incident management process, remember this is a butterfly diagram and it's a butterfly effect. Somewhere some changes have happened. The questions that you need to ask on the call are the workaround, any recent changes, last known good configuration of the CIs, any valid workarounds, I would say, right? And these three questions are very important. And also, like I said, major incident managements, if you have to invoke disaster recovery, stakeholders, who are the stakeholders who has to be notified? Like I said, you're a bridge between the stakeholders who do not know anything about technical, and one set of people is who only knows about technical. They'll talk only about technical jargons, and you might not be able to understand as well. But at the same time, you need to understand, you need to make a way out of asking them, what do you mean by this? When you give it to that, put that into plain English description, notify your stakeholders. You cannot, you cannot talk to them in jargons, right? The command cmd was run so that the it deleted the script, and the script deleted was with x3 cfb. No, the simple term would be like, so and so team ran a command to delete the script. Post deletion of the script, application started working fine. That's how you need to articulate things, and when you write and when you explain. So this is the difference between incident management and major incident management workflow. I showed you this is the butterfly major incident management. If you remember this, the two eyes of the butterfly is functional escalation hierarchy, and the spinal cord is escalation itself, escalation matrix. The tentacles are the moment you join an issue, impact, and the teams required. And the center point, the belly buttons, I would say, as butterflies, are initial investigation, parallel efforts from all the teams. Then you have troubleshooting, then you have planning. Basically, it just makes you look like the diagram looks like a butterfly. Then when you're planning stage, you need to ask somebody. If the SME is deciding the plans, you need to make sure the incident coordinators are jotting that plan, or the admins are jotting that plan, and you need to know which plan is being executed, and ask for valid ask for valid plan A's and plan B's. Ask them if this, how sure are you it will work. Ask the SMEs, they should be able to tell you. And once you know this, you need to summarize. This is what we have come up with, and summarize to the DPEs and the management who's joined the call over there, right? There are some DPEs or PEs or executives who will join the call. This is where they'll ask you what's going on. They'll say this is what is the issue, what is an impact we have come up. Don't give them everything. Initial diagnosis was done, so and so. No, just say that we have come up with a plan now. This is plan A and this is plan B. Keep it simple to them so they understand we are in the right. And explain it to the business users also in such a way that now, hey guys, we have so far, sounds like we have two plans now, plan A and plan. Don't say that we have a plan, say we have two plans now. If this fails, this should work. So that's the sense of assurance that you're showing it to them, that the surety of fixing the issue. You say you have two plans, the support teams have come up with two plans, plan A and plan B. Hopefully plan A works. If not, we still have plan B, right? So that's the summary part. Once you summarize, then you execute which one you're doing it. Once you execute the plan A, you need to ask users to validate. So this is where resolve comes into place. Restoration plus USAT or CSAT is called resolve, right? So you validate. Once you resolve it, then you close the ticket. Go back to the circle, make a complete butterfly. That's your closure. All right, guys. I hope this major incident management has helped you. And I know it's one hour long video, but this request has been coming to me from long time from all my colleagues and friends. They say that why don't you do a video to a lot of viewers. So a lot of people, I myself, when I started incident management, looked at some incident management YouTube videos. It talks about the workflows, it talks about so and so examples, and all animated stuff, but didn't have the clear understanding of how I can establish myself. A lot of people on the call, major incident managers, do not know how to establish themselves on the call. So the voice quality, the tone has to be set right. Establish yourself in first 5 minutes. If you do not establish yourself in first 5 to 10 minutes, there's no way that there's no way that anybody's going to respond to you and respect you while you're on the call. So guys, with all of this information, I hope this information was very informative to you, and I hope you all make use of it. Leave comments if you have any questions. I will respond to you as and when I get time. This is my first YouTube video, so I hope you all liked it. I'm going to make more videos on different processes within ITIL. and other videos as well. Okay, so like I said, leave comments with any questions that you have, and I should be able to help you with answers. Thank you guys for watching this, and please do subscribe for my YouTube channel and like my video, and I'm sure I'll come up with more videos like this, more informative videos. Thank you guys. You all have a great day, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you.